Okay, so thank you so much for joining me today. Can you tell me a little bit about yourself, who you are, and your major and year?
Yeah, I'm Joseph Yamouni. I'm the director of test operations at engineer. Sorry, I'm director of test engineering at this point, and I'm a junior mechanical engineer.
And what is like your role? What does the director of test engineering, what does that mean?
Well, the role typically changes for whoever's in the position. In general, it's supposed to be a person who can provide resources or answers for hard parts of each person's test and projects.
Hmm.
I'm trying to take the spin of we're going to be trying to focus more on teaching newcomers so they can be really good test engineers as they progress.
So how long have you been part of Trell?
Last summer, actually, I joined in the summer.
So how did you hear about that opportunity?
At that point, two of my roommates were already in Trell.
Okay.
One of them was in AVG&C and the other one was already in test. I applied for propulsion and got in.
Okay, very cool, very cool.
Mhm.
So you came from propulsion and now you're TLO.
Yeah.
Okay, very cool. So what really motivates you, or why did you want to be part of Trell?
I knew a lot of people in there, and I thought it'd be a pretty decent step up from what I was doing.
Yeah. So how is that to come in just kind of wanting like friends and things to do to be in a leadership position? How has like your mind changed to kind of fit that?
Typically, all I've done really is just show up, and to a lot of people, that's qualifies you for a leadership position.
Yeah.
I mean, I haven't gone out and specifically looked for anything. They've kind of just found me for most of these things. So here I am.
Yeah, no, that's good. Yeah, sometimes we do pick people who are there all the time, and
Mhm.
you need those people. So that's awesome. Um, what makes you want to work in aerospace, or what do you want to do post grad?
The cool thing about working in test engineering, specifically in aerospace, is that it's a wide variety of different fields. So when working with TLO on test stands, we worked with concepts such as fluid mechanics, electronics, data acquisition, and even just regular structural analysis. It's a very wide variety of stuff, and a lot of it is things that you don't really know before. School doesn't really prepare you for the certain terminologies and what to use for building things. But above all, it's really cool because if you do your job right, you can see a nice explosion,
Yeah.
and that sounds like something I'd want to work for.
Yeah, what do you think is the little niche part of it that you really like the most, being that there are so many different things you can do in TLO?
And the part that I like the most is, I guess, the fluids aspect of it. There's a lot of really complicated stuff with fluid mechanics and how some things are like a gas and a liquid and flowing at the same time, and trying to figure out how the stuff flows in the pipes. And it can get very, very there are so many aspects of it, and it's a really wide variety of field. I like how you can try to learn as much as you can, but you still have a large amount to still learn for that.
Do you have a passion towards space, or do you think that your passions are more of just the technical engineering side of things?
It's more towards the technical engineering side of things. I didn't come into this with a huge love for space. It kind of just developed based off of the more and more things I knew.
Yeah.
To better put in perspective, I've been to the Johnson Space Center before joining Trell, and it's just been oh, cool, it's like a museum. But I went with a couple of people last year, and it was really cool to see stuff that you knew what it was about, and you could pick out of it. You could look a rocket engine and find out what each part was and what was its purpose.
So what are you hoping to do in the future? Do you have an idea of maybe companies that you would want to work for or anything like that?
I probably want to work for new space companies. I have an internship with Firefly coming up this summer, so we're gonna see how that would be.
Yeah.
Doing something working for a new space company like Blue Origin, SpaceX, or Firefly would be pretty interesting. On the other hand, working at NASA would also be pretty cool because they do a lot of cool stuff at NASA.
What would you say an average day in your position is like? Obviously, before we had to stop working in lab.
Well, actually, to be fair, I got this position after we stopped working in the lab.
Yeah.
But I'd assume it would go something like this. I'd walk into the Trell room, and then a test lead would walk up to me and say, hey, I have this problem. I have no idea how to fix this. Or, hey, I need your advice on this thing. And I'd work with them for that. We'd also like work to set up like lecture or something, prepare like slides or something to teach them like, I don't know, the basics of fluid mechanics with respect to what we're learning. It'd be a mix of teaching and helping people with specific problems. I know that like a lot of times we'd have Ryan, who was the test director before me. We'd have times where we'd all be working on like failure mode analysis for the hot fire test stand, and the next day we'd be all shift towards water flow test stand or something like that. But yeah, it would be going project to project, seeing what needs the most work done, and doing it and finding out how to do it as efficiently as possible, I guess.
Yeah, were you part of like TLO before becoming a leader of it?
I went from propulsion and sort of transitioned into TLO over like the end of the summer, beginning of the fall. And in the fall, I was like officially TLO, and then I went from like just a regular member of TLO into like the test lead for the water flow test stand. And then throughout the summer and then first half of spring, I was that, and then I moved to test director like a month ago.
Yeah, how was that experience doing like the water flow test stand?
It was enlightening about like our organization.
Would you say it's one of like the harder tests, or do you think they're all?
It's not. I don't think it's one of the harder tests. But the thing is, we went in with it not knowing anything about it. We started off saying it would be a 6-week project, wouldn't be that bad, but like it's been 6 months and we're not finished with it yet. We're close, but we're not like finished with it. There's like so many things that we didn't know. Like there are still like days where we'd realize something huge that we just left out because we didn't think to include it because no one told us to include it. It's just, you don't know what you're going to expect when you haven't done something before.
For sure.
I think there's a huge jump between what we do in Trell and what you do in class.
So how do you feel about like your team or the environment that you normally work in?
I really love my team and the environment that I work in. During the walk with test stand, things got really stressful, but we were able to like achieve what we did because of the TLO team, how everyone was very helpful, and I learned a lot from them. Although I was the test lead of that project, I was still learning more from like everyone else, and it was just really cool.
Tell me about a time when you felt success or pride in the work that you were doing.
One time when we first felt success was when we successfully tested like the injector. We were there for like an obscene amount of time. We got there like 10 a.m. on a Saturday, and then kept working like non-stop, and we were like, we're not gonna leave until all this works and we can flow water. And it was crazy. For like 3 hours we had like an electronic problem that like we didn't know what the problem was, but eventually like it like fixed itself or something. Like we must have like knocked it back into place or something, and as soon as that happened we said, all right, throw this thing outside, let's run it. And then everything worked to what we expected, and it was pretty cool.
How do you think that you are going to leave a legacy for Trell?
We'll be better at teaching and passing down knowledge to new members. I think right now we're good at teaching, like building technicians, I guess, in TLO. People that can like bend tube, flare tube, understand like how to like physically build the system and stuff. But we don't have many people who can like confidently say, yeah, I can take charge of this project, or I can design this, or I can figure out this problem. I want to be able to make sure that we have the resources to build those people once I leave.
Tell me something interesting about you that isn't related to Trell.
I was a huge orchestra nerd in high school. I really liked music and band. It's like one of my biggest passions, I guess, music.
Yeah.
Played the French horn. Okay,
very cool. I played the bass clarinet, so.
Nice.
Do you have any interesting or fun stories that you'd like to tell from your time here in Trell?
You know, one of the most fun stories I can think of was the kickball day. It was actually really great because we all built up rivalries between like the testing team, business team, and design team. It was the funniest thing, just like having like playful banter throughout the entire thing, and seeing it felt like a bonding experience between some of the people. Like I never really talked to Bryce Blackwell beforehand, but now I can like trash talk him. Like,
yes, he was definitely into it.
Yeah, he really was. I think like things like those can really bring groups together. and help you learn about people who you actually never would have like interacted before.
For sure.
So I think that was one of my best memories.
Any advice for people?
It all seems a lot at first, and a lot of people seem like they know exactly what they're doing. I promise you that they don't. So just know that, like, even though you know like nothing at this point, a lot of people don't know much either, and it's just a matter of time before you know enough to make accurate decisions. Don't let the fact that people are sounding very official and using some cool lingo, like regenerative cooling, discourage you. I feel like in aerospace and a lot of other like engineering professions, there are a lot of people who make them seem very elitist, and it really bothers me when that happens. But I feel like it's something you can get past. And
well, thank you so much for doing this interview. That was really good.